Hey, Deb.
I love the way greetings. Isn't that a Katy Perry song? Katy Perry.
I don't know. I do my all my Facebook lives. I say greetings, friends. I don't know where that came from. I just like it. So.
I just watched my Facebook Live the other day, and the ones I've been doing, I do this stupid greeting of hello, 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 hello. I have these accents that come from nowhere, and my girlfriend, I didn't even notice it, and my girlfriend watched them. I did like the first minute for her to watch, and she said, "What is that? Where is that accent? What is that thing you've got?" And I'm like, "I never noticed it." She said, "You can't do that." And I went, "I'm not going to do it." No. And then she said, "Well, that could be your signature talk." And I'm like, "I don't want that to be my signature talk." But clearly, half a dozen in, I'm still going, hello, 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 hello. It's like 20 different accents in one.
But, your cat is the global, is Deb attacking to the globe.
Hello, 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 hello.
Oh, I watched your last live. I thought it was great. I think I did on it.
Thank you. It's quite funny. I had my first negative review. I don't even know what we're talking about today. I had my first negative review last night. It was quite a full-on.
Oh no!
Negative review,
like I was live. A live. They actually posted comments.
Yeah, they put 3 comments on.
Uh-huh.
And he had some great points. He said, you fidget, which I did because I couldn't figure out if my right shoulder was off the shoulder of my left shoulder. When you're looking at your shoulders, you know your shoulders when you look at yourself. Yeah. I couldn't figure it. I kept pulling the wrong side down to show my bra strap. I was fidgeting, but he made some great points. And then it just said, and then he ended with your horrible Kiwi slangy voice. And I was like, don't you? I know my voice is not the sexiest voice in the world, but don't you dare pick on my Kiwi slang accent.
No, that to me is just being a bit nasty for the sake of being nasty.
Well, it was funny because then he said, and I switched off after 30 seconds, and then probably a minute later he posted another comment, and then a minute and a half later he posted another, and oh my gosh, my willpower inside me went, don't go. Well, 30 seconds you turned it off, you would have stopped commenting, but you clearly didn't, so you watched at least 3.5 minutes, and I'm like, don't. So I deleted a couple of comments, I blocked them, and then I did leave one up. I wanted to leave them just so people could see, and then I thought, oh no, because people will see that, they'll get challenged, and they'll take that energy on, and like he's got a point. I did fidget with my clothes. I did have those things. I'm not going to admit to the bogan accent. So a bogan to us is so do you use the word bogan?
No, I don't. I've never heard of that before.
Bogan's like oh gosh, how do you say this without upsetting people? Bogan's like a trashy person, a real bogan.
Okay, so, in Scotland we would say Keely.
A Keely.
Yeah, Keely. So it's kind of like lower class. I get it.
Yeah.
So lower anybody class, who's Scottish will understand if you say, that's Keely.
Keely. Okay, well in New Zealand, Australia, we call it a bogan.
Okay.
B-O-G-A. And in fact, but the way you say Keely sounds beautiful. A Keely. We go, bogan. Oh, you're a bogan. Yours has a lovely flow to it. Ours is bogan. Yeah. So I'm refusing to acknowledge that I have a bogan accent. However, when I start listening to these podcasts, I will realize I do have a bit of a bogan accent, and I don't. Hello, 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 hello.
But so here's the thing, and this is why I think it's so fun doing these episodes together, is that you and I both have different accents, and I love it. Like I think it's great. It's makes us unique, makes us different, makes us unique. I don't want to sound like everybody else.
Oh my god, if I sounded like you, I'd sound funny. If I sounded like you, I sound funny. It is funny because I had somebody who had a call with you, one of my clients, and she said, "Oh, she sounds so different to you." And I said, well, "She's not in New Zealand." But she talks like you, but she's just. And I said, "Yes, she has the Queen's English. She's a little bit more polite and demure in how she delivers." And they went, "Yes, that would be it." So you're more gracious than me. So maybe I am bogan. Okay. I'm Keely and bogan.
You're lovely. You're just you. You're just you. So, this is a really cool way to start stepping into what we wanted to talk about today.
Okay, what are we talking about apart from bogan accents?
Bogan accents and Kieli accents. We're talking about how to increase your intuition, how to tap into intuition. And so I like what you were sharing about these comments, and you were kind of at odds about whether to delete them or leave something there. One of the things, so I teach people intuitive skills. I am a tarot card reader, and so that comes into part of the coaching that I do with clients. So intuition is, we are all intuitive, whether we're aware of it or not, whether we listen, I'm putting air quotes around that, to our inner guidance. We are always getting insights. We get intel about situations. We know. How many times have you gone and done something where in hindsight you look back and you realize, I knew I shouldn't have done that?
Often. It's just never. I've never had that, Moira. I don't know anything.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Anything you're talking about? No, never. Often. In capitals, often.
So that's my point, though. That is your intuition. And so the thing about it is, so number one, we are all intuitive. And this is what helps us step into what I call the clairs. When I talk about the clairs, I'm talking about clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. Clairaudience is clear hearing. Clear sentience is clear feeling. Clear cognizance, clear knowing. There's lots more, and I go deeper into these when I'm teaching people how to tap into these things. But I encourage you to watch how you interact with people. So when I'm describing something to you, like we were just talking about you were saying about bogan versus Kieli.
I love the way you go, Kieli. Still graciously, Kieli. Bogan.
So therefore you identified with what we were talking about. Would you say, I see what you're saying, I hear what you're saying, I know what you're saying? What's your kind of go-to statement when you're having something explained to you?
I'm quite a visual person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also semi-inappropriate, so I don't realize when I'm describing things, sometimes other people are visual, and when I say certain words, I forget that I've already visualized it and buried it and it's done, moved on. But sometimes I say things and they go, oh, that's a nasty visual, and then I'll get the giggles and go, oh yeah, whoops, you're right. But whoops. But when you were talking about a Kieli, and I was trying to describe it, PC without upsetting people.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to choose my words that people could relate, and how could I say that your country could understand our word for what we use. Mm-hmm. So I was a visual person, and I went there right from the we used to have you must have heard of a mullet hairstyle.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have them
around the world.
In Canada for sure. Yes.
So most people would say that they are a bogan, a mullet. But very funny now, we've actually got an All Black who has a mullet hairstyle. But we've got, it's actually really trendy now to have a mullet. But back in the day, a mullet would be a bogan thing.
Right. Yeah, I can follow.
So when we said bogan or Kieli, I straight went to a visualization of what I imagined it to be like.
That would be like, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was the mullet was one of the things. For a male, I don't know why I didn't think females would have mullets, but I'm sure they do. I don't really consciously think.
I've seen that.
They would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, when I think about it, yes. And so for me, I was straight away to a visual person, but trying to get that message across. How would I describe that without saying a mullet, because it could be offensive to some people.
Right.
So I guess I'm more a visual person. When people say things, I go there visually.
Yeah.
And giggle sometimes, because sometimes,
that's the visual.
That's the visual. But even the innocent stuff that people do, just so inappropriate. As I just say that, look, my daughter last night was sitting on the leather couch and she moved and she had shorts on and it made that, farting sound. Right. And of course, I was very immature and started giggling, and she started giggling, and she said it wasn't me. And my girlfriend who was there was just mortified that we were just being so immature, with that sound. And I just visualized her in her white shorts and the white leather. I visualized the whole big noise and the whole thing, whole giggle. And then when we tried to explain it, my daughter and I were laughing over it's a childish thing, but it was freaking funny.
Of course.
And then my girlfriend who was there was just like, what are you two on? Like you two are just, what are you doing? How mature are you, Deborah? And I'm like, oh, clearly mature enough to laugh when it's needed, actually.
Kind of.
Absolutely. So, I'm a visual. I'm definitely a visual girl.
And so therefore, from an intuitive point of view, you will get your insights, or your intuition will come to you visually. So that means clairvoyance, which actually is kind of a cool thing. I you know what, when I do energy healing, I am clairvoyant. It's actually the only time that I become clairvoyant is when I'm doing energy healing on clients, which is, it's kind of fun. It's always been that way for me.
But isn't it weird that we think everybody's the same as us? Like, I just think everybody visualizes, or everybody,
Okay.
Yeah, like I used to. Now knowing people think differently. Well, males and females think differently, and more testosterone and more, there's a lot. But I just thought everybody thought the same as me.
Interesting. So but in my work as a hypnotherapist, I know that the fact that you can visualize is awesome, because I have clients that can't do it at all. And so this is what I'm saying, though. You have to think that some people will feel things, so they'll have the emotion of that situation, or they might hear things. So if I said to you to remember, if I said to you, Deb, remember a time that you are having fun at the beach, you would likely be able to see the beach and the ocean and the palm trees and all this kind of stuff. Whereas other people might feel the excitement of a day out at the beach. And other people still might hear the birds singing and the kids playing and the water, the ocean waves.
If only people could see my face. It's screwed up. Like, really? They see all that? Well, why don't they just visualize it like I do? Like, why do you want to feel that emotion? Why do you want to, like, that whole noise? Like, just see it.
And so you're proving my point that if you wanted to increase your intuitive capacity, you lead with clairvoyance. That's obvious. But your next thing, so if you visualize, is there something secondary? Like, do you hear things? Do you feel things? Do you know things?
Oh, my body definitely is in tune.
Okay.
Like, if somebody says something and it doesn't feel right to me, whether it's a lie or I just know there's going to be a bigger impact, that's going to be less worthy for my life, or there's going to be something. My body, even just saying it now, my body's just gone into coldness and tingles. Beep beep beep. I always say, when people are talking sometimes and in my head, and you want to get out of the conversation, when trucks are reversing, you hear that beep beep beep.
Yes. Yeah.
And so sometimes, and I'm standing in a conversation with people and I don't want to be here, I can feel myself going beep, beep, beep. Like, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this?
Yes.
But it's definitely a visualizer. But my body will tell me very quickly.
That's cool.
Because I find that doesn't lie. Your mind can lie to you.
Yes,
play
absolutely.
Manipulating games. but the other signs are things that can't lie. Would that be right?
Absolutely. And so this is clairsentience that you're describing. So it's just, you feel it in your body. Your body tells you. And you're quite right. this is why I find it really important to help people open up to and step into more of following their intuition and finding how is their favored way of receiving this guidance, because our mind will mislead us always, because our mind is based on survival and based on fear, based on past patterns, misbeliefs, limiting beliefs. And so when we get into our intuition, when we allow those clairsentient feelings to guide you, when we allow the visions to guide you or to give you the insights that you're looking for, that is going to give you far better navigational skills in your choices and in moving forward. Right?
I didn't know there were so many.
There's actually 8 altogether of the clairs.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's one called Clear Gustance. That's taste.
Oh.
Something tastes off. People who have clear gustance.
People quite often say that.
Yeah,
something tastes off.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize. I still think, why doesn't everyone just do it my way? It'd be so much easier.
But remember how we said we couldn't judge people based on how it is for us?
Yeah, they need to do it my way. It's the brainy way that.
Right.
Okay. And awake, Deborah. Okay.
You're funny. So for my favorite 2, so I mentioned to you that I do have clairvoyant vision when I'm doing energy healing, but my actual favorite 2 that I use when I'm doing card readings or just in my own everyday life is I'm clairaudient and I'm claircognizant. So clairaudience is my primary. So similar to you, where you have your vision and you see things, I don't see them, I hear them. Or words are just suddenly coming out my mouth and I kind of, that just kind of got downloaded or just appeared. Or sometimes I hear the word.
That's actually a point, because sometimes stuff comes out my mouth and I go, "Ooh, where did that come from? That's great wisdom."
Yeah.
But it's
you've tapped in.
And it just comes out and then you're like, that was very poignant for what was going on right now. Sometimes it's clearly not, as we talk on the podcast.
Now trust. Yeah. Of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
No, and I love those kind of moments. I think are so awesome, because to me it says that you are really showing up in the flow. So I've had it happen to me where I'll be doing a reading or giving somebody some message of guidance or something, and they'll ask me to repeat it, and I will have no idea of what I've said. And that proves to me that had nothing to do with me. I was just...
That happens to me often. Yeah, can you repeat that? What did I say? Just give me the last year. Yeah, whoops.
Yeah, what was the word? Yeah, but that is beautiful though, because it shows us that we are really being the unconditional conduit of the guidance or the messages. And that is so see, you are using your intuition even though you didn't really have that languaging around it.
No, I think I have a problem with labels.
Well, we know that part about you.
Moira, I might have a problem with labels. Oh, that's your intuition. No, it's not. It's just me. It's my inner guidance. No, it's not no, it's not intuition. It's just me. I just know. Most people call it intuition. No, I just know. I just know. That's all. You don't have to call it anything.
So here we're just translating it for our listener. You don't have to stick to this label. It's okay.
But I think the big thing is the trust, and I'm just going to go to the infidelity, which clearly seems to be a topic of mine.
It's a thing for you.
I know. I think the thing is for that is women have it. They say women have more intuition over men.
Yes,
now I'm not going to. You say yes. I was like, I'm not going to go there because I don't know. But
to be honest with you, intuition is a feminine trait. We all have masculine and feminine, so we can't necessarily say it's all just women or it's all just men,
Yeah.
it's the feminine aspect. That's all it is.
Okay.
There's
I quite like that way.
A lot of men have access to that, but whether they choose it or not is entirely up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it that way. I like the way you've just described it. But like infidelity, women know when their man is cheating, and I'm just doing the male-female thing.
Mm-hmm.
Women know, but they don't have that evidence enough. And sometimes we feel we need, and it's a need, which is a survival word, we need that evidence to actually speak up and say something, because you can't say, well, I think you're doing this, this, and this. I think you're stealing money from the company. I think you're doing this, unless you have evidence, because we are a society that evidence has to be, laid out in front of us before we can actually believe it.
Yes.
And people know that somebody is stealing from the company for the last 6 years, but they just can't find out. They know all the signs are there, but they just don't know where it's going and how it's going. And they need that evidence to, kick that person's ass ultimately. Right.
Yeah. It's just that they haven't caught them with the hand in the cookie jar, so to speak. Right.
Absolutely. And it's the same for infidelity. Those things, haven't caught them with the hand in the cookie jar. Because that cookie's gonna burn you, but that's exactly it. Because we do come from a society that we think that we need that evidence, but in reality, your intuition is enough.
It is.
If you're truly present and in touch with yourself, your intuition, and you believe in your intuition, it is enough. It's enough to get by. Now, in a court of law, it's not enough, because they need that. They need that factual evidence, but it is enough when your intuition's saying, I have to get out of this situation. It's not wise for me to go shopping. It's not wise for me to use my credit card today. It's, I need to do this. That's your intuition. But I don't know why I don't need to get up today, or I don't know why I shouldn't go to that shop, or something's telling me not to. But it's having that trust and listening to your intuition.
Yes. With
your heart over your head. I think your intuition sits with your heart, and your head justifies everything, which I guess is that masculine as well.
Well, absolutely. The heart is feminine energy, and head is the masculine energy, which is why we do need them both.
Which is a battle.
It is a battle, unfortunately. The thing is that it's actually been proven that our heart field is stronger and bigger than our mental field. It's been measured that way. The thing is, though, too, and to your point, we do live in a society that it's like, no, prove it to me or show me. And I loved what you just said about the intuitive facts, information wouldn't stand up in a court of law. But wouldn't it be lovely if it opened the door to looking? If I had an intuitive guidance that this situation was going to happen, and tipped somebody off, or said, go look there, and they go and look, and ta-da, there it is, right? In your example about the person who's robbing the company, you intuitively know that somebody's doing it, so you go and show up to a balance sheet meeting, and there is the flawed transaction or whatever. The two can coexist, is what I'm trying to say, I think.
And when do they come into alignment? How long do you sit on your intuition that person's stealing from the company? Or how, I go back to funny that I worked for a department store when I was about 18 or 19, and we had a lovely employee there, and she was the treasurer to our social club. And I really liked her, but I could see certain patterns in her energy were changing, and I was focused on myself. I was a firm believer it was all about me.com growing up. And so I didn't care if they did this and they did that, because that's their stuff, whatever. And then just little patterns, she started to do certain things, and I was like, this doesn't seem right. She can't have the money for that. This doesn't, the way she was talking and throwing her energy around, I'm like, there's something going on. Now, my intuition was saying there's something not right with her mentally right now, because she's doing things that are out of character. But not in my life did I think she was stealing money from our social club.
Right.
No way. But I knew there was something. So I knew that intuition, there was something not right. There was something not right. Now, I think probably in hindsight, it would have been wise for me to actually go back and say to, my mum or someone, say, this is what's happening. I don't understand. What do you think it is? But for me, it was all about me.com. So I wasn't really concerned, but there was just a little inkling. And as it happened, it unrolled and it unraveled that freaking quickly how much money she had taken.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I knew this a year ago.
Yeah.
I knew this a year ago, Deborah. Why didn't you do this? Is your intuition was telling you there was something. Why didn't you talk to anyone? Why didn't you do anything about it? How could you have left it? We could have saved thousands from that year. If I knew this a year ago, we could have potentially stopped her from having a criminal record or any of those things. It was very heavy. Mm-hmm. And I bet myself up at that time thinking, you should, that, as I put my fingers in the air, in the AIR, ear, not EAR. It's like that. It's going, why did she put her fingers in her ear?
Her fingers are in ear.
Air.
Ear.
In the air. AIR. This is my bogan accent. And I go back and I think, gosh, if I'd listened to my intuition back then, she wouldn't have had more money to steal. She wouldn't have had more temptation. We could have curbed this. She may have only have taken 100, a small amount at that time compared to where she was a year down the track. And I did beat myself up about that intuition. And I kept saying, it's not you, Deborah. It's not you. It's not you. Well, Deborah, it is you. Actually, at the end of the day, it is you.
And so, to be honest with you, it was. But it's okay. It's just where you were at. That you were at the space.
I didn't really want to deal with it.
Yeah. And so it's important for us to be okay with where we were at that point. The version that you are now is so much wiser than that version of you were there then. And so it's important to look at those younger versions of ourselves with compassion and say, that's all I could do. But do you remember in a previous podcast, we talked about those three things that we do to create certain situations. We either create it directly, or we promote it by promoting somebody else to do it, or we just allow it by just not standing up and saying this is not okay, or this is wrong, or this needs to stop. So that's what I feel like was what you were describing there, is that you just allowed it without even really knowing. But then the other part of it too is, and this is a question that I invite our listeners to try on for size. This is what I do to all my students and clients, is the question is, how do I feel about myself here? So in the story you just shared, if you said to yourself, how do I feel about myself when I'm in the company of this person, you shared that there was something off. So you didn't feel that great about yourself. You couldn't put your finger on it, but you didn't feel that great. And so that's where you start to lead in. That's your intuition saying there's something for you to sit in and discover, get more message, get more guidance. But
how do I feel about
myself
now
or here? So I would, I encourage people, any of my clients who are on the dating scene, for instance. So let's say they've gone out and met somebody for the first time, or they're on their second or third date, and they start to feel, when they're in the company of this person, they might feel a little bit anxious, or they might feel a bit nervous. That's insight of their intuition saying, this isn't going very well, or there's a hidden agenda, or there's something you're missing, or there's something you're not asking for, or there's a boundary that you've not set up.
Yeah, and then so your intuition's saying something, and then your mind runs this freaking ridiculous marathon.
Yep.
Of, I remember coming to this restaurant once. I remember having a meal with my family here, and I remember this, and they got indigestion, and they got sick, and then they got this, and then I remember this time my boyfriend looked at me funny because
And that was a tap. That was an acknowledgement to you.
That was definitely a tap. But I go back to that sort of stuff, and we think, and our mind races. Mm-hmm. Our mind races and thinks, oh, he's just going to cheat on me like he did last time, or he's going to do this, or she's going to do this, or I'm going to end up with paying for this whole bill on my own, and they're not going to, and you brought in all this BS baggage from your previous connection with someone, or right back from when you're 16, 15, I remember my partner saying to me, you can't eat steak because you chew with your mouth open, or whatever, at 14, and now you can't eat steak.
Right.
But this is the stuff. And so that's not your intuition. That's your BS mindset that you're not controlling.
Absolutely. And so it's really important here. I love that part that you just went into, the story in your mind. It's really important to go, how am I feeling? Not how am I feeling and then what am I thinking about it. Not how am I feeling and why.
Those words just impact you straight present, hand on your heart. How am I feeling right now?
How am I feeling right now? Yeah.
And then you don't have to run that marathon of stories in your mind.
Exactly, because that was really interesting, and that, I don't know about you, but my mind can do this too. It leapfrogs all over the place, right? So it's like you just did something when you were 14, and then there was something when you were 5, and then there was something when you were yesterday, and then there was something, right? So
We've got an advert. I'll just have to tell you about this. We've got an advert in New Zealand, and it's for smoking marijuana. Mm-hmm. Smoking marijuana is illegal in New Zealand at the moment.
Illegal? Okay.
Illegal, yeah. You're not allowed to. Yeah, it's backyard deals, and one of the things is I have to giggle because there was this advert that came on, and he's driving in the car, and he's got a mate in the car, and he's drinking his milkshake, and he's just an average bloke, and his mind is racing. His mind is going, did I hang that, did I do this, did I do this, did I do this? And then he sees a like a Uber food courier driver type thing, on a motorcycle beside the car, and he's looking at him and he's going, oh, I wonder what he's got in there, I wonder who he's delivering to. And it's the mind is just racing, and then you just see him flip the car over an island. He's totally safe. But I remember the first time I watched it with my daughter, and my daughter said to me, oh, wouldn't it be horrible that you have to deal with that every day? And I said, that's my mind. Now, they were reflecting at that when you're stoned or when you've got marijuana, you can't concentrate on one thing. Yeah. I don't think I've ever got into a flipping car and just had the clear mind and just thought, just drive. Don't go, oh, did I do that? Did I do that? Oh, look at the sun's in my eyes. Oh, look at that car. That's a nice shiny object. I don't think I've ever actually, today I'm going to be driving 5 hours, so I'll be conscious now that I've brought it to the attention. Conscious of it. But this advert really, and it was interesting to hear my daughter, who I thought had the same mindset as me, minus a few swear words, compared to me, because she was like, oh, imagine if your mind was like that all the time. And I sat there and I remember thinking, when I watched it, I thought, my mind does that. My mind, what's the purpose of this advert? Because I couldn't figure out what the purpose of the advert was.
Right.
And the first time I watched it, I'm like, this is my mind. What's going on? Is this like a new pill you need to take or whatever?
It sounds like a warning.
And I'm like, that's my mind. And my daughter said to me, my 19-year-old daughter said to me, oh, imagine if your mind was like that all the time. And I'm like, it is. But like, my mind does do that. And she's like, well, you need to control that. Like, you can't be having all that in your head. And I'm thinking, oh my God, here I'm teaching everybody how to control your mind, and my mind races like the stoned man and the stoned car driver. That it just goes. Maybe
that's why. That'll be why you do the work you do.
So I can start focusing on other people's minds instead of mine. No. But it is interesting to think that that the mind takes everything away from the heart. What am I feeling right now?
It does. But you know this thing, because in my work, I don't like saying control my mind. I don't want to control my mind.
Controls. I dislike that word too.
Yeah, it's a manipulative thing. It says I either do it or don't. And so for me, my own way.
Tell me to do it or you don't, Deborah. That's a great.
So here's the thing that I believe, and I do this, is my mind is going to do what you're just describing, the jumping from one thing to the next, and what about this?
And we do say shiny object. We go, oh, look, a shiny object. Oh, look, a shiny object, because I think we can relate to that.
Absolutely. The truth is, your mind's going to do that whether you control it or not. And so for me, I am going to tune it out and come back to my heart.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Just come back to my heart. I'm not going to listen. It's like, oh, there is white noise. Totally white noise. So, and this is from my mindfulness training, is the idea is to think of your mind as the blue sky. And then all of these thoughts as clouds.
Ooh, I like this.
This is nice, isn't it? And so think about it.
Just for the record, I've got goosies all over my body. I've got little sparks shining and flicking in the back of my spine.
Awesome.
I'm like,
that's when we know we've got something for you.
I'm listening.
So with these clouds, sometimes you can just have a few white wispy clouds, and they're easy to just, they'll go scudding by on the
Are they
sky.
white or are they dark clouds?
Well, you can get completely black, overcast sky where you can't even see the blue sky. You can't see the sun. Of course, the blue sky and the sun are still both there.
Well, I'm definitely a visual person, so I can so relate to that aspect.
Yeah, and so see what you can do to, maybe you need to blow. Say, I'm blowing all these clouds out of my mind, so that I want to have my mind be that beautiful, bright, brilliant, clear sky again.
Yeah.
And that's all it is, because that's what our minds are programmed to do. It's programmed to keep us safe. And so therefore, that's how come that, oh my God, did I turn the stove off, and did I shut the door, and did I lock the door, and did I remember that? Did I get the list? Did I?
Well, I thought everybody's mind went like that, but my daughter clearly didn't. Maybe she was pulling my leg, or maybe her mind will be.
Maybe she's just got some great techniques of getting back to that blue sky really quickly. Some people do. Some people.
Maybe she learned it from some awesome person. Wonder who she learned it from. Clearly not her mother.
Oh no, you probably taught her well.
Probably taught her how this happens when you.
Yeah, don't do this. Don't do what I do.
Yeah, don't do what I do. I think that's what we do. We try and protect our children because we know how we've stuffed up, in life, and we've done crazy stuff. We're like, don't do this now. Don't always make sure you have food before you go out drinking. If you're highly emotional, don't drink. Oh, I'll be fine, Mum. We've all done it before. Really? I should have listened to you. Yes, I know. Yeah.
Too fun. But so all of this is ideas about how to, and we keep coming back to that whole thing about being mindfully aware and staying in the present moment, but also listening to your heart, listening to your guidance. And Deb, you know this about me. I do this all the time. This is me in natural life, where I put my hand on my heart. If I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, or my head's going into that, oh my gosh, chatter.
It's such an easy, quick fix, Band-Aid, or just to get you grounded again. Boom, straight back.
Yep, here I am. I am here, and there's always like a warmth. All is well, and I kind of come back into my own inner guidance, and those panicky thoughts will just slow down and tune out.
And I think, yes, absolutely. And I think the thing is, we forget.
Yes.
We forget. And so just because you can give people so much information, and yourself, but just putting your hand on your heart is just a very quick, instant,
It does a couple of things, because it actually reminds you and comes back to, I love me. I'm showing up with love and compassion for myself, with kindness. But then, so it's like a two-way, right? So this is me saying I'm showing up like this, but then it's also like your heart's going, okay, now I can get your attention and give you some guidance. Go this way, make that choice, right? So this is all about tapping into that inner awareness that we all have it. We just have to find our best way, our favored way of going back and checking in with it.
And I think that the thing is that when you've checked in with it, it's actually trusting and believing that that's right, and not justifying with the head mindset of, oh no, but last time they did this, or last time this happened, or and it's that mind clutter that clogs your intuition. So it is that trust and faith to go, okay, this is it. This is what feels right. And I think, like I talked to you about pendulums one time, and that was far out of my scope of awareness that was too purple in my mind.
And
but
anybody that knows me knows that purple is my favorite color.
exactly. And I like purple too, with gold, of course. And so for, oh gosh, I just have to look. I look at my keyboard as I talk to you, and I look, and it's purple, and like purple. I just have to giggle. And my drink bottle today has purple on it. So I look at the two things and saying, oh, clearly we're talking purple. Oh yeah, you've got your purple drink bottle. Clearly we're talking purple.
Yep.
But I have no idea what I was actually just saying then. Oh well, must have been a lie. Must have been the truth. Purple something. Who knows? It
was about coming into the heart energy, following our guidance,
using your purple, having trust. I don't know, but my main thing.
Your point was about trust, because trust is the key piece that we might have an inner knowing of something, and then we have all these voices in our head, right? Who the hell are you to know, to say that or know that, or do you know that to be?
And last time you spoke up, this is what happened to you. Don't forget that.
Exactly.
That's a vital one. Last time you spoke up, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, derailing. And so and this is the perfect way to wrap up this conversation about coming into more intuition. Intuition is a gentle little feather tap on your shoulder. It needs to be nurtured, because to be honest with you, I think of it as a muscle. So you getting the insight and saying thank you, thank you for, I might have an intuitive hit about changing lanes. Actually, this happens to me a lot. I'm a very intuitive driver, and I know not to argue with it. If I suddenly have the intuitive thing I need to get into that lane, I'm going to go do it. And then
and it's your first reaction, I'm going to get into that lane, and it's not the, oh, will I, won't I?
I know. Because I've had it proven to me too many times when I kind of go, where's that coming from? Did I just think that, or was that an intuitive? Was that my guide that just came in, or is that, it's like, no, I don't. It's just off in there, and sometimes it'll be because the cop car just came past me, or some swerved into the other lane, or so it's just go follow it. And so as soon as things like that happen to me, I will say out loud, thank you. And that's what I'm saying about it being a muscle, because I want to honor that and say, I got it, I really appreciate that, so that I know I'm strengthening that connection for myself.
And that brings it back to, recently we talked about gratitude. That brings it back. The more you're grateful for something, which I didn't say then, the more you're grateful for things, more opportunities come into play.
Precisely. Yeah.
And so if you're listening to your intuition and you're thanking your intuition, you're going to notice it more and more and more and more until it's just part of your breathing, and you don't question it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, it is my go-to. We'll have to talk one day about human design. Human design helps us see what our inner authority is. And my inner authority, so we all have an inner authority. It's how we best make our decisions. And we can go into a conversation about that another time. But it turns out that is my inner authority, is my intuition. So that's why it's so important to me to honor it, to always acknowledge it and get the guidance that's there for me.
And I think when people say, friends or colleagues say, oh, it's my intuition doing that, don't boo-hoo their intuition.
Yes.
Just honor them. Who are you to say, yeah, but remember last time you did this? No, that's your mind. If their intuition and they're saying their intuition's saying there's something not right, then honor them and go, okay, then you've got to listen to your intuition and encourage that.
Yep.
But it's our fear or our BS mindset that we can put into others when it comes to that. Because we do say, people go, if I'd said to anybody at work about that woman, and I said, my intuition's just saying there's something not right.
Yeah.
They would have gone, oh, whatever, she's lovely, she's having a good old time. But, I would have been over analysing everything and looking at going. But sometimes you ask people for advice in the assumption that you want them to back up what you're going to say or do,
mm-hmm.
or you're unsure about your intuition yourself, because your intuition's saying do A, B, C,
right?
But you're thinking, oh, maybe there's another way. I'll ask Deb or I'll ask Moira or I'll ask somebody. But but in reality, your intuition's saying do ABC. So do ABC. Don't ask other people to support your cause, back you up, because you're going to have different perceptions. One, Moira might say go for it. Deb might say no.
Yeah.
But in reality, your intuition's saying yes. So then you're going to hurt somebody by not taking their advice. So listen to your intuition and have trust and faith in your intuition and go with what sits right with you in your heart.
That's exactly it. So I like what you just said. So let's say you did ask Moira which way I should go, and Moira says no. Ask yourself, how do I feel about myself with the no? And then you go and ask Deb the same question, and Deb says yes. And then you say, how do I feel about myself? So you have to feel confident. You have to feel empowered. It has to feel right to you, regardless of what yeses and nos are coming from anybody. That's how to best walk with being led by your intuition.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because that's exactly it. That's exactly the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice work. So so tell us, people, what is your intuition saying?
No, it would be lovely. I would love to hear from
definitely
our listeners about how does intuition show up? How do you recognize it? Share some stories or examples of when you really knew something, and look at ways of how to strengthen it. Remember, it's a muscle. The more you use it, the more it's there. It shows itself for you.
The stronger it becomes.
Exactly.
I like the muscle. I like the muscle analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great to know how people listen to their intuition, because clearly not everybody thinks like me. And I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Everyone the same as me, that would be insane.
It would be kind of boring if they were all the same as you or the same as me.
Yeah, and that's why you've got an accent and I don't have one.
No. Okay, we'll play that. We'll play your game if we need.
Thank you. Your intuition's going, yeah, we'll just cut that off here, because that could be another 10 minutes on the call. Yeah, so I would love to hear how people use their intuition in stories, like Moira said. That'll be super cool to hear
that. Absolutely. This has been a great conversation, my dear. I'll look forward to our next one.
Yay. Thank you, people. And thanks, Moira, for the laughs today and your accent.
And your accent. Oh, sorry, you don't have one. You don't have one.
I don't have one.
Thanks, Deb. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.